If you're someone who's been grinding problems after problems on LeetCode but still feels stuck or slow during coding interviews, then this video is for you. Trust me, I've been there. It's not about how many problems you solve. It's about how well you understand the underlying patterns behind them. These patterns are repeatable strategies that help you understand how to approach a problem, which data structures might be useful, and how to break down a problem efficiently. And if you just master these 10 core patterns, you'll be able to tackle any coding interview rounds at companies like Amazon, Meta, or even startups. Because for any questions asked in these coding interviews, you're always applying one or more of these patterns. It will help you understand exactly where to start, how to think, and how to solve a particular problem. In this video, I'll walk you through each pattern, explain how it works, tips, and the best and only LeetCode questions that you need to solve to understand these patterns. At the end of this video, I'll also share my personal favorite resources to practice these patterns and understand. So let's jump right in. The first pattern is called sliding window. This pattern is used when you're dealing with contiguous subarray or strings, like finding maximum sum of k elements or finding the longest substrings with unique characters. Instead of recalculating everything from scratch in every iteration, you just slide a window across the input and reuse the previous results, making it highly efficient. Use it when you're tracking a running total, frequency, or a condition across a window and update the window on the go. This will keep your algorithm's time complexity to be big O of n. There are two types of sliding window problems. One is fixed sized window. This is when they have given you the length of the subarray. For example, maximum sum of subarray of size k. When such a question comes, you add an element to the right of the array and remove one from the left, and you keep calculating the maximum sum of the subarray. The second type is the dynamic size window. Here the size of your subarray could be dynamic, so you can increase it or reduce it based on the condition that they have given you. For example, find the longest substring with unique characters. In this case, you either expand or shrink your subarray based on the condition that they have given, which is only unique characters can be present in this substring. You usually use two pointers to track this. One is start and the end of the subarray. And you adjust them as you go, tracking the state like sum, frequency, count, using variables or hash maps. These are the LeetCode problems that you need to solve to understand the sliding window pattern. Make sure to take a screenshot of this, or you will find it in the description. Pro tips for these patterns are: first, always store what you're tracking in the window. It could be sum, count, or frequencies. Second, always use hash maps when you want to store the count of characters in these windows. Third, for dynamic windows, always expand from the right and shrink from the left until your condition breaks. This will give you the optimal length of the window. Sliding window is one of the most efficient patterns that you can use to optimize your brute force approach for solving any substring or subarray questions, and you will always see some variation of these questions being asked at big tech companies. The second pattern to learn is called two pointers. This is perfect when you're working with sorted arrays or linked lists, especially for problems involving pairs, duplicates, or subarrays. Here you place two pointers at two different positions and you move them closer to each other or move them in the same direction based on the condition. This saves you from having nested loops and brings your time complexity from big O of n squared to big O of n. You'll use this pattern for problems when you want to find two numbers adding up to a target, or removing duplicates in place, or finding cycle in linked list. These are the LeetCode questions that you should solve to understand this pattern. Pro tips for these patterns are: first, always ask, is this array sorted? If yes, then try two pointer before going to the brute force approach. Second, use the two pointers with sliding window when you're working with a subarray range. If you think about it, both these patterns do have some overlapping. Even in sliding windows, you do use two pointers. The next pattern is called fast and slow pointers. This is an extension of the two pointer pattern that we just talked about. And it's extremely useful when you're working with linked list or any cyclical data structures. It involves using two pointers. One moves one step at a time, which is the slow pointer. Two, which moves two steps at a time, which is the fast pointer. And if there is a cycle in the structure, these two pointers will eventually meet, which helps you detect the cycle efficiently without using extra space. And this pattern is not just for detecting cycles. You can also find middle of the linked list. You can find start of the cycle, or even use it to detect duplicates in an array. These are the LeetCode problems that you can solve to understand this pattern. Now these three patterns that I just spoke to you about are very related. You are usually using a combination of these three patterns together. The next pattern is hashing and frequency map. This is one of the most important patterns that you'll end up using in most of the questions. Whenever you're solving a problem where you need to look something up quickly, track occurrences, or count things, hashing is one of the first things that you should think of. The big idea here is, instead of recalculating things or looping multiple times, you store useful info as you go in a key value pair, and that speeds up your solution massively. Basically, if your brain thinks, I need to remember how many times did something show up, or if I want to quickly check if I've seen this before, then this is your pattern to use. Only thing you need to think of is what should be my key and what should be my value. You can only have immutable objects as your keys, such as strings, integers, tuple, or any other data structure based on the programming language that you're using. This data structure often simplifies your code and also makes your code run faster because the lookup time is big O of 1. Based on the programming language that you're using, you might be calling this data structure as dictionaries, maps, or hash maps. Now I know when you think of hashing, you're probably thinking about dictionaries or maps. But don't forget about sets. Sets are internally built using hash maps, but the purpose of it is a little bit different. You use sets when you want unique elements only, because by default you cannot store duplicate values inside a set. And when you look up, it's again just big O of 1. So whenever the question has word duplicate or unique in it, sets are always going to be your solution. The next pattern is DFS and backtracking. Depth first search or DFS is one of the must-know patterns whenever you're working with trees, graphs, 2D matrix, or any such data structures. The core idea is you pick an element and you go as deep as possible. Explore one complete path before you come back and try another. So if you're solving something like a maze or finding connected regions or going through a tree, DFS is often the first thing you try. It keeps going deeper and deeper until the condition breaks, and then it backtracks to explore other options. Here are few key things to remember when you're working with depth first search. First, always store the visited nodes. You can use a set to do so. Second, you are usually using recursion while working with DFS. So your recursive depth is important. So always make sure to have a base condition. Third, if you're not comfortable using recursion, then you can do iterative DFS using stacks. But remember, usually problems related to trees, recursions are way more cleaner than iterative approach. But I understand if you're not comfortable for recursion, you can definitely use stacks. I personally also do that sometimes. When you're working with matrix, you always move top, right, bottom, left. And every time you do this, you might count something, collect values in a list, update global maximum or minimum, or even modify the input. These are the best LeetCode problems that you can solve to understand this pattern. The next pattern is breadth first search or BFS. If DFS goes deeper, BFS goes wider. You use breadth first search whenever you want to explore all the neighbors level by level. BFS is iterative, and you usually use queues to solve it. Here's the basic flow. You start from a node or cell, you put it in the queue. Next, you process the cell, mark it as visited, and add all of its neighboring cells into the queue. And you keep doing this while the queue is not empty. So you're exploring each layer of the graph or matrix one at a time. It's especially useful when you want to find shortest path or when you're dealing with trees, graphs, or matrix. These are the best problems that you can solve on LeetCode to understand this pattern. Key things to remember here is always use a queue so that you process cells in first come first out order. Second, always track visited nodes so that you avoid cycles or reprocessing. Third, whenever you need to find minimal or shortest steps, think of BFS. And if you're using BFS with matrix, then a directions array is very helpful, where in each iteration you'll be going through either top, right, left, or bottom. The next pattern is heap or priority queue. Whenever you want to access minimum or maximum element quickly, you think of heaps. Heap is a special kind of data structure that helps you maintain the order of the elements dynamically. So if new elements are added or removed, you can still get the smallest or largest elements from this data structures in big O of 1 time. And insertion and deletion is big O of log n time. If you're using Python, you'll mostly be using heap queue module, which is by default a min heap. That is, it always returns the smallest number. But if you want to use it as a max heap, then just turn all the elements into negatives and then add it to the heap. You will always use heap when a question is something like find top k elements that does this, or merge k sorted list, or task scheduling. In interviews, heaps usually show up in greedy, graphs, or interval based problems. Another tip is to use heaps with hash maps whenever you want to group things or find top k frequent elements. These are the problems on LeetCode to master heaps and priority queues. Heaps are simple but super powerful, and they'll help you write optimized code when brute force won't cut it. The next pattern is dynamic programming. Dynamic programming sounds scary at the first, but it's really just a smart way of avoiding solving the same problem again and again. The key idea is, if you have solved a problem, instead of resolving it every time, save the answer and reuse it whenever needed. So instead of doing bunch of repeated work, you break the problem down into smaller parts, solve each once, and store the results, usually in an array or dictionary. Here's a simple way to recognize a dynamic programming problem. It's always asks for the best, minimum, or maximum value, like maximum profit, minimum cost, or longest path, etc. And solving these smaller problems always involves choices which will affect your future outcome. You will always ask question like, how many ways can I do it? Like, I can either pick this element for my answer or not pick this element. How it works is, you usually solve DP problems using one of these two methods. The first is the top-down, which is recursion plus memoization. The second is bottom-up, which is the tabulation. My tip is, whenever you're solving a problem and you start using recursion but it's becoming a repeated work, then switch to using dynamic programming. Always start with this golden question: what decision am I making at each step? This will help you define the state and understand the structure of the problem. Second, ask yourself, what parameters do I need to track? Either it's index, sum so far, or remaining capacity, etc. Third, how can your previously computed result help to build the current answer? Fourth, what is the smallest subproblem that you already know the answer for? For example, making $0, you need 0 coin. Whenever you're doing recursion, use memoization. Memoization is nothing but storing your answer in a dictionary so that you can look up easily rather than solving it again. I feel bottom-up approach is more efficient because you avoid stack overflows and the craziness of recursion, but it really depends on the problem that you're solving. And I know that dynamic programming seems a little daunting and complicated, but it's really not. You just gotta practice a lot of questions in this, and once it clicks, you'll start noticing this pattern in lot of problems that they ask in interviews. And you have lot of different types of dynamic programming patterns. For example, you have 1D dynamic programming for house robber questions, climbing stair questions. You have 2D dynamic programming questions when you're working with 2D matrices or graphs. And you also have dynamic programming on strings, longest common subsequence, or palindrome. These are some of the best questions that you can solve on LeetCode to understand dynamic programming. The next pattern is called prefix sum. The idea is simple. Instead of recalculating the sum of elements again and again, you pre-compute a running total of the sum as you go through the list. And that's your prefix sum. Once you have this prefix sum array ready, you can calculate sum of any subarrays in constant time just by subtracting two values. So instead of recalculating sum from index I to j every time, you build a prefix array where prefix of I stores the sum leading up to I. Then any subarray sum becomes a simple subtraction. That is, sum of I to j is equal to prefix of j minus prefix of I minus 1. No extra loop needed. It's super helpful in problems like range sum queries, finding subarrays that add up to a target, finding how often a particular sum has occurred. These are some of the great examples that you can solve on LeetCode to understand prefix sum. So anytime a problem says find the subarray where the sum is or return the sum between the two indices, think of prefix sum. Also a quick tip, this also works for 2D matrices. Just pre-compute a 2D matrix prefix sum and you can calculate any submatrix in a constant time. The next pattern is modified binary search. This is a twist on a classic binary search algorithm. While the standard binary search algorithm lets you find the target in an array, this modified version helps you solve variations like find first and last occurrence of an element, search in a rotated sorted array, or find the minimum or maximum under certain conditions. So instead of returning as soon as you find array of mid equals to target, you instead adjust your start and end point based on the unique condition and requirement of your question. So you will use this pattern whenever your array is sorted or partially sorted, when you're trying to optimize your linear scans into big O of log n, or when the question involves rotation or finding first and last position. These are the examples that you need to solve to understand this pattern. Always ask this question, that what condition allows me to eliminate half of the search space. So there you go. These 10 patterns are truly the foundation of every LeetCode problem you'll ever face. And once you learn to identify and apply them, you'll realize that you don't need to memorize hundreds of solutions. You'll know where to start in most of the problems, and you'll feel way more confident going into coding interviews. Interviewers don't care about how many LeetCode problems you have solved. They care about whether you can understand a question and and break it down and solve it methodically in the best approach possible. And these patterns will definitely let you do that. And as promised, these are my favorite resources to practice and learn these patterns. My go-to place to practice all of these questions are the LeetCode's 150 questions asked in top interviews, the link for which you can find in the description box. It's very well structured, contains all the questions that's majorly asked in FANG companies, and covers all key patterns and some more. And here's how I recommend approaching it. First, pick a pattern like a sliding window or dynamic programming. Try solving them yourself by writing on LeetCode itself. And if you're stuck or don't know how to approach, then first you can watch a YouTube video to understand it. Of course, if it's available. If not, then ask ChatGPT. And when you're asking any AI model, make sure to ask for intermediate and intuitive solutions, something that you could come up with in interviews. Some of my favorite YouTube channels to learn from are Deepti Talsara, especially for recursion and dynamic programming problems, because she dry runs every step of the problem, and which gives you a clear picture of how it works. Next are the videos from NeetCode and Greg Hogg. I myself am actively learning and prepping for interviews right now, so it's all fresh in my mind. If you're stuck on a problem, confused about a pattern, or just want some tips on interviews, then drop a comment below and I'll make sure to respond to it or create a new video for it. Also, make sure to subscribe to my channel, because in the next video I'm gonna tell you exactly how to crack the system design interview and all the concepts that you need to learn for it. So hit that subscribe button right now. You don't want to miss it. Thank you so much for watching this video. And remember, don't just grind problems, master patterns. That's the secret sauce. Until next time, bye-bye.